I mean, I'm going bareback. I haven't got any notes, so.
I don't think that's what bareback is.
As soon as I said it, I was like, that's not the phrase. That's going at the start of the podcast, isn't it?
I didn't know if I should tell you, if I should just go along with it.
What does that mean? I'm going...
But just don't say that to anyone else, like in a professional setting. Don't be like,
I'm going bareback, guys.
Bareback.
Hello and welcome to Cruise Next. My name is James Albarn. I'm joined as ever by Elsa Grace. How are you, Elsa?
I'm good. This is like a little panel setup almost.
It is a bit, isn't it? It's nice. Today it's a different location from last week. As you will know, if you're a regular viewer of the podcast, we have started filming it now. So you can see our lovely faces while we talk about films. I'm trying to find, Elsa, what the crew member was that we picked last time.
Well, if you weren't coming in bareback, James, you would know. No, you have to put it at you would know that...
It was David Lee, the sound recordist. We watched Elvis last time, the Baz Luhrmann directed Austin Butler starring biopic of Elvis. And actually, in the end, we kind of liked it, didn't we? Weirdly, I think.
Yeah.
We came in...
There was a lot of things to like about it.
We came in negative and we ended, I feel like, in a positive fashion. It has been...
It was Mandy Walker that did it. That's who we were more obsessed with.
Oh yeah, Mandy Walker.
But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we dove into the credits of Elvis. We picked out David Lee, the sound recordist, and that has brought us to our film that we'll be talking about today. That is 1999's The Matrix.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
What is happening to me?
The answer is out there, Neo. It's the question that drives us.
What is the Matrix?
The Matrix is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
They're watching you, Neo.
Human beings are a disease. You are a cancer of this planet. And we are the cure. Get me the hell out of here!
Welcome to the real world.
Elsa, tell us all about The Matrix.
I didn't really write anything down for an intro because I don't know how much you need to introduce this film. It's been around for so long, and it's been now versions of it. There's over by 2002 there were 23 different versions of it already done, which is kind of insane. So,
Hang on, what do you mean?
As in spoofs of it, mimics of it, animated little bits here.
Yeah.
Not full films that have been redone.
Yeah, okay.
No. Web series,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. So it's very well known. But essentially, it is, would you say it's sci-fi? It's kind of like a sci-fi drama.
Yeah.
By the Wachowskis sisters. It was released in 1999, starring Keanue Reeves and Laurence Fishburne and Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people that we'll get into in a bit. And basically, it's kind of an amalgamation of different philosophical theories. It's a little bit Marxist, it's a little bit nihilistic, and it kind of is based around the idea that our reality is not a real reality, that we are living in a programmed world, and our bodies are being used as, sort of bioelectric batteries by robots.
AI robots.
Yeah. And Keanue Reeves plays Neo, aka the One, who is awoken by Morpheus, Laurence Fishburne's character, and is the man who is going to free humanity from this enslavement. And essentially he is given the gift of waking up from the Matrix, which is this program. And it's about him starting to kind of believe his role in that and tearing down the program. It's one of 3. So
One of 4, actually, now.
No, we don't talk about 4.
I don't think we talk about 2 and 3.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think for the sake of today, it's too rich to go into the trilogy. I think we're just going to focus on the first film as it stands.
Also, I will be honest, it would be very difficult of me to go into the rest of the trilogy, given that I think I know I have, but I think I haven't seen the 4th one.
Okay.
But I think I've only seen the 2nd and 3rd one maybe twice at the most, because for me, and for a lot of people, I probably would say that's where it goes downhill.
I would say that maybe goes for almost all trilogies. Like, I have seen The Fellowship of the Ring more than I've seen the other 2 by a country mile. Really? I've seen the first Back to the Future more than I've seen. Like, I do think
yeah, but I don't know if people would argue that, like, the 2nd and 3rd Lord of the Rings are worse than the first.
I wouldn't say worse.
Again, Lord of the Rings not really my franchise, so I can't really
What's
argue.
Your trilogy then?
Star Wars.
Do we still count that as a trilogy?
Like, if we're counting the original trilogy, like, if we don't count fucking...
Okay.
Like, that's one where actually you could argue the second one's the best. But yes, I think you're right. Really, sequels in general...
Yeah.
The Dark Knight trilogy, maybe again the second one's the best with the Heath Ledger Joker. But again, like...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just... The first of the Matrix is where everything is really established. I can't fathom, like... It took, how long did it? 5.5 years for the Wachowski sisters to get this made before they had even started filming. And they made 14 different versions of the screenplay, which is crazy. There were 600 storyboards made.
Yeah.
Like, this film was so... They went so deep into the foundations of this story. There was required reading for all of the principal cast and crew members.
Yeah, I read that. Even before Keanu Reeves had read the script, he was told to read, like, 3 books.
Yeah.
Which, fair play to Keanu Reeves, because if I'd have got that instruction, I'd been like... Nah.
Really?
No,
I love that. I love research.
Yeah, but,
I'm
like,
into
not
it.
before I've even read the script. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be like...
No, but I understood that, because this was the script that the studios described it as the script that no one will bloody understand. Because it was so... which I don't know if I can believe that. I haven't read the script, and I know the kind of people that would have said that. But Laurence Fishburne read it and was like, I don't understand how people could not understand this. But he is... a god amongst men.
Yes,
some
and
might
we have expressed our love for Laurence Fishburne already on this podcast.
Yeah.
But,
So I was just going to say, I think it was, if you didn't have the kind of philosophical understanding of these theologies and stories before reading the script, I think you just read it and you think, it's a lot of shooty, bang, bang, sci-fi, fine. Great, like, could be a great film, but you won't really understand what it's actually about. So I do kind of understand them giving him the required reading of being like, we want you to have this base knowledge before we bring you into our allegory.
I guess, and I would kind of agree with that in terms of going into the shoot. I would want him to be aware of that. My only issue with it before he even reads the script is kind of, in my view, it's like, well, when you're reading the script for the first time, you are the audience, and the audience isn't going to go in with the knowledge of all this stuff before. So if you don't understand it reading the script, it might be hard then for people to understand it watching the film. I would argue that, like Laurence Fishburne said, how do you not understand it? It's a bit like when people say, oh, I don't understand Inception. I'm like, it's pretty... Actually, if you just pay attention, it's pretty easy to follow along with.
Yeah.
But who knows what the script was like in those sort of early drafts? Because, like, I tried to find the scripts online, but the only one I could find was the script they ended up shooting, which is pretty close to what ends up on the screen. So who knows what the script was looking like in those sort of early stages when people were saying no one can understand it, or, you know.
I mean, I did not know the stuff that I know now when I first saw the film. I think I must have been like 9 or 10 when I saw it. My mum loved those films. My mum, I have really, if I haven't already, shout out to my mum for like the film education that she gave me, because she made us watch a lot of films that probably other kids our age weren't watching, which I didn't always love, but we got a lot of great stuff. And Matrix was one of them. And I didn't fully understand what it meant, but this is maybe a bit personal. This film has always like hit me in a very sensitive place. I have maybe seen this film like 25 times now.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy. I might have seen this film more than any other film.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I don't think it's a fucking great film, and I had to study it in my studies, so that was one of the reasons. But the character of Morpheus, for some reason, was like the father figure that I wanted and that like I didn't have. And to this day, the scene with Morpheus and Agent Smith when they're fighting, I can't watch.
Really?
I have to look away. It makes me so emotional. I hate it. Like, I really hate it. And so, like, I didn't understand what the film was really about when I first watched it, but it still hit me. And I think that when you're like, would the audience get it if they hadn't done this required reading? Like, do they have to? Like, do films have to mean the same things to everyone when they watch it? Or could you just be like, that's a fucking great bit?
No, and that's why I was saying, like, to have required reading before you even read the script. That's where I sort of like disagree, because it's like, well, if Keanu could have still read that script and got something out of it, maybe with that. But who am I also to argue with the Wachowskis who have made this film? Like,
yeah.
You know, they obviously knew what they were doing. They obviously knew what they were going for. That approach obviously put off some actors, and there were lots of people that were up for that they were considering for different roles, and clearly some of them were put off. I think like Russell Crowe said that he got 20 pages in and just didn't get it, and like was like, I just don't get it.
Are we?
So clearly their process worked to end up with the cast that you have, which I think is another one of those ones where you look at, you know, people who could have been cast in something and you go, I just don't see how it could not be Keanu, Laurence Fishburne, Carry-On Moss, like that, those central three, and Hugo Weaving actually in the Agent Smith role. You just can't imagine anyone else doing those characters.
He does this incredible vocal but also like facial mix of robot and man that was ahead of its time, in my opinion, and it was so scary. That character is so scary, just so good. But all of those actors had like some serious and not so serious injuries pre-shooting. They were training for like 4 to 6 months before the shoot. Carrie-Anne Moss sprained her ankle quite badly. Didn't tell anyone because she was like, they'll recast me. So she just carried on. Hugo Weaving had a neck injury.
And Keanu Reeves had neck surgery as well, hadn't he?
I think this was when he had his motorcycle accident. So he had like a cervical problem that meant that the bottom of his spine was a bit fucked and he couldn't kick really. So that's why like he doesn't really kick a lot in the film. It's all kind of upper body stuff. And Hugo Weaving, they moved all of his stunts to like the final part of production for the same reason. So we were so close to not
having that cast.
I have alternative names. Do you want to know them?
I think I know a lot of them. So let's play a game. Will Smith is quite famous for going on the record saying that he was going to be, like, he was very close.
Yeah, but he was glad, apparently. He was like, I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
Like, I would have screwed that up.
And he ended up doing Wild Wild West, which, interesting film. I saw Gary Oldman was in the frame for Morpheus at one point.
Maybe, yeah.
Val Kilmer was also in the frame for Morpheus if
Val
Will
would have done
Smith
it,
was... Which was another thing Will Smith said. It was like, because I didn't do it, we got Laurence Fishburne as Morpheus. It seemed like the studio was reluctant to cast two black people in significant roles in the film.
That survive.
Yeah.
Oh, Tank survives, I guess. Dozer doesn't.
Yes.
Oh, God. I get so emotional.
Ewan McGregor, I
Think
read.
about Dozer dying. I didn't read Ewan.
Okay, give me your...
As what, Neo?
As Neo. But he was cast as...
He was
He was cast as Obi-Wan at the same time.
Sandra Bullock was up for Trinity.
I read that, and she didn't want to do it. And I don't know what the story behind this is. She didn't want to do it with Will Smith. It's interesting.
But she would have worked with
Keanu
because they
Speed.
had shot. Yeah, they just shot Speed, and they were together, I believe, for a while after.
Oh, really?
I don't know if they would have been during the filming.
I wonder what the issue there with Sandra Bullock and Will Smith is. I need to look into that.
I try and stay out of the Hollywood stuff like that because you just go down a bit of a rabbit hole, and you never know what's real and what's not real. And I try not to pass judgment on like I've heard this person until I've worked with them myself, because more often than not, the really, really difficult talent are the loveliest people, but their team really fucking difficult. And make it really hard to work with that person.
Also, as well, often with those things, like, someone can just be having a really bad day and be slightly off or slightly grumpy.
Yeah.
And then one person has a bad experience with that person because they were a bit grumpy or a bit short. And then it's like taken as like, this celebrity's a horrible person, when actually they were just like having a tough day and didn't really smile as much as someone wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously we're not talking about people that were like involved in the inner workings of Diddy's white party.
No. Like, we're talking about like if someone's a dick or not.
If someone doesn't want to take a selfie with you.
Yeah.
Or like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, give us your list of
I don't have anyone else. You got all the people that I have.
Oh.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
So you've watched this film a lot of times.
Too many times.
I think I've probably watched it quite a few times over the years. It's just one of those films that it's so part of the public consciousness now that it pops up. But it was a while since I'd last watched it, and I watched it last night. And the thing that struck me the most, and I mentioned Inception earlier, and I think it's something, I mean, they kind of feel of a similar vein, I guess. Anyway, but and I think it's what Inception does and what The Matrix does, arguably even better than Inception, is the economy of storytelling in it. And when you look at the fact that they had 14 drafts of the script, I wonder if it's because they had 14 drafts of the script that eventually you get this tight, like, there is no fat on it kind of film that I think is what we're not going to go into the sequels and stuff, but that's what like the sequels struggle from a little bit more, is that there's a bit more fat on it and there's a bit more sort of like, it's less to the point and pacey, and like the pace in this film is incredible. Like within 20-30 minutes you know what the fuck the Matrix is. He might even be out of the Matrix by like half an hour in. Like in my head, like it was like when I remember the Matrix, it's like, oh, it's like ages before he's being chased by the agents in his office, and that's in like the first 15 minutes of the film.
Yeah. The opening scene opens on that fight with Trinity. That took like 4 days to shoot.
Wow.
And it's quite short. It's so good. Like, what an amazing opening.
And it prompts so many questions, because you have her conversation with Cypher, like, over the phone before the police arrive and the agents arrive to get her, and there's kind of a hint of like, you're watching him while Morpheus thinks he's the one, but you know he's just going to die, right? Like all that stuff, and you're like, okay, and you've got the code flowing down on the screen, and you're like, okay, what is this?
What is going on? It sets the story really well. And then I will like, you miss so much when you first watch this film, and every time I rewatch it I get something else. It's so good. I'm just gonna keep it's so good. Like when Neo is standing under the bridge waiting for Trinity to pull up in the car and the rain is falling, that's the code. When he goes into his boss's office and he's like, you're late and you're and there's window wipers on the window, that's the code running down the window. It's so rich.
Yeah.
And even just like down to, it's also quite funny. Like I didn't really realize the first time I watched it, but like there's just constant like window squeaking and shit happening while the manager is talking to Neo, and it's just like, we have no respect for this character whatsoever. Like, it's just such an incredibly well-made film. But on that opening scene with Trinity, I didn't realise this, but did you know that she does all her own stunts? Like all her own wire work stunts.
Wow, fair.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
She was training for like 5 months for that one scene.
Fair play, Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does it well.
She does it very well.
Does it very well.
When I was like, I don't know, 15 or whatever, I have a really clear memory of my uncle saying that he really fancied her and that like she was, you know, spectacular. And I was just a bit like, is she? But now I'm like, yes. She is spectacular.
I had that same, I don't have a memory of an uncle telling me that Carrie-Anne Moss, but I had that same thing last night when I was watching it, of like, it was the first time I'd realised like how much like of a presence she is on screen, and like you can just like put the camera on her and like she doesn't have to do anything, and you're like, I can sit here and watch this for 2 hours, and you know, that's fine.
You know that line that she says when they're going back in to save Morpheus and Neo, and she's like, I'm coming with you, and he goes, no, and she's like, oh, no. And then she just comes up to him and she's like, let me tell you. And she barely moves her face at all. And it's such a tight frame. I was like, I do whatever. And she was like, I'm the ranking officer on this ship. And I was like, yeah, you are.
Okay, so before Elsa gets...
she's just like such a commanding presence, and that's what Trinity has to be, because I mean, in this film anyway, she's kind of, apart from the Oracle, she is the only, principal female character. The other kind of, I guess, she's holding her own on a ship full of men, and all the agents that they're fighting, all of the programs are all male, and, so she has to have this really, strong presence, and she does. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to move her face. She doesn't have to do anything. But there is one other slightly femme character in it who is Switch.
I read the thing about
the double casting.
Yeah.
So Switch was originally supposed to be female in the Matrix and male in the real world. So they were going to double cast it. But then they decided to just make the character a bit more androgynous. But that was why the character's name was originally Switch. So
yes.
It was like switch up. And so after the Wachowski sisters transition, they were like, oh, there's loads of
there's lots
trans
of
messaging in the Matrix.
This can't be just coincidence. It can't be.
What are you talking about?
The Oracle. She told me this would happen. She told me that I would have to make a choice.
What choice? What are you doing?
I'm going in.
No, you're not.
I have to.
Neo, Morpheus sacrificed himself so that we could get you out. There is no way that you're going back in.
Morpheus did what he did because he believed that I'm something I'm not.
What?
I'm not the one, Trinity. The Oracle hit me with that too.
No, you have to be.
I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm just another guy.
No, Neo, that's not true. It can't be true.
Why?
Should we talk about the philosophy influences a little bit?
Yes.
My year 6 philosophy teacher would be screaming right now because I dropped out of philosophy. I hated it. And he made us watch The Matrix so many times. He was kind of an intense guy. I'm not going to throw around speculations, but it was a very strange time. We studied The Matrix a lot. But, and we had to do a lot of reading around it. So it's a lot of Descartes, I think, therefore I am. And I think in my dreams, I feel in my dreams. And obviously my dreams aren't real. And then I think and I feel in this reality. So who's to say this isn't real and isn't being, powered by some evil overlord kind of thing. There's a lot of... It's Plato's cave. It's basically Plato's cave where people are being bound, where they can kind of only look straight ahead. They can't look around them. And so their reality is shadows being cast on this cave wall of people and trees and animals. And that's what they think a tree is and a dog is. And then a prisoner escapes and runs out of the cave and realizes that, the real world, and sees all these things that are real and aren't just shadows, and goes back in and tries to convince people that what they're seeing isn't the real tree or the real person, and tries to convince them to leave the cave. This is, obviously it's like a version of it, but when you know about these philosophical stories, it hasn't had too much added to it, it's pretty exact. I guess there is some, also Marx's theories of, that the ruling elite are exploiting the working classes, and it works because they don't know, or they don't believe that they're being exploited. They think that they have free will and they're enjoying their lives, their lives. But it's all part of this control that the ruling elite have over them. And that's a very obvious parallel with the humans in the Matrix being used as bioelectric batteries for the robot world, the AI world. Talking about AI as well in this, ahead of their time.
Yeah, it felt interesting watching it now.
Yeah.
And there's that. I like the way Morpheus explains it to Neo, where he's like, we don't actually know who struck first.
We can't remember.
But we know we scorched the sky because...
We thought that was the power source that they needed.
It turns out they were wrong. There's a bit of... there is a bit of sort of Christianity in there. Like Neo is clearly Jesus. Because they even say about the one came before and then died, and it was prophesied he would return. And I also never quite, I'd never quite twigged that before, and it's right there, so I don't know how I never twigged it, but the idea that obviously Morpheus has been searching for Neo all this time and believes that Neo is the one, and he's clearly gone through a lot of people that he thought were the one before, and has taken them to the Oracle, and then the Oracle's gone, no, they're not the one. Or they've gone up against the agent and died. And that had never occurred to me before. I don't know why. It's right there in the film, but I think that adds an extra weight to it when there's the doubt around whether he is the one or not, and whether...
But is he the one organically? Or is he the one because he believes he's the one?
Wow.
Because, because before he really believes he's the one, he dies, right? And that's what the Oracle basically says, you could be the one, but not in this version, you know? And so...
And there's the thing with the vase. She's careful of the vase, and he knocks the vase over. And then she says, now the thing will be...
What's really going to get you
is if I had not told you about the vase, would you have still knocked it over?
Yeah.
And you're like, and you can see Keanue Reeves, wah!
Well, it's Schrodinger's cat, isn't it?
Yeah. Schrodinger's Keanue.
Schrodinger's Keanue. Yeah. And then obviously when he kind of rises again, is this when, or this is just before... Trinity's like, what's he doing? This is when he starts to turn around to fight Agent Smith. And Trinity's like, what is he doing? And Morpheus goes, he's starting to believe. Like, he's starting to. And then he dies. And then he comes back because of love.
And because he's Keanue Reeves.
What?
And because he's Keanue Reeves.
And because he's Keanue Reeves. And then, yeah. I didn't really understand... No, I mean, I get it. It's not that deep, is it really? I think they just needed a representation of him because the whole thing of the one is that they are able to bend the Matrix to their will. I was going to say I didn't really understand the part where he dove into Smith and like crawled around his veins and exploded him. But I guess the point is like...
He can do what? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the kid with the spoon, isn't it?
Yeah. What does the kid say?
Can't remember.
It's like...
Something about...
Try not to
look
at the spoon or something.
Try not to bend the spoon, but try to...
There is no spoon.
Yeah, something like that.
What does he say?
I can't
It's
remember.
like a...
There is the spoon.
Why are you talking like that? The spoon. Try only to realise the truth. And then Keanue goes, what truth? And he goes, there is no spoon.
Oh, yeah. There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
You're the Oracle?
Bingo. Not quite what you were expecting, right? Almost done. Smell good, don't they?
Yeah.
I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway. And don't worry about the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
I'm sorry.
I said don't worry about it. I'll get one of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh, what's really going to bake your noodle later on is... Would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
I have a fun fact about The Matrix. The crew subsequently had the filming laws in Australia changed
Good day.
for aerial shooting and like helicopter shots. So initially they just broke the law. The scene with the helicopter, they were not actually, it was like a restricted fly zone. And they went, we're going to just have to do it anyway. And they did it. And then it resulted in the laws being changed. And now people are allowed to shoot there.
Oh, well done, Matrix.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Not that I've ever shot in Australia.
No.
Maybe one day. But it was they actually had to move production over to Australia because the budget was only 60 mil. And if they'd shot in America, it would have had to have been like 180. And the studios were like, absolutely not.
I think I read as well that the studio actually only wanted to give them 10 million. And they were like, we can't make it for that. So they just shot what they could. I think it may have even been the Trinity opening. Just shot what they could. And were like, and then presented it to them and was like, and the studio went, all right, we'll give you the extra 50.
Can you imagine? Like that head of studio who has the power to go, give him another 50 mil.
Yeah, it looks all right, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can understand why this film would have been like a hard sell, for sure. There's a lot of shit that's made today that I personally don't think should have the budget or the sign-off that it does to be made.
Oh, name names.
No. Shan't. I will say a friend of mine is on set right now for a big superhero film. I won't say the studio.
Yeah.
It's not the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And every day he goes home and just wants to have like an acid shower to rinse off the horrible day that he's having on set because he's like, this is just terrible filmmaking, which is a real shame. But like, those are the films that are getting the budget right now and are getting made. And actually Laurence Fishburne was one of the people that when it came out in press, he was like, I'll be honest, like, I didn't think we were going to make this film because I thought it was too smart to get made. I just thought, like, no one is going to.
Do you think, I was going to ask, do you think in the current landscape anyone's making The Matrix now? Like if the Wachowskis brought this script to a studio now, do you think studios would make this film? Okay,
that's a different question. Do I think that films like this are being made in the bigger studios, features? No, not currently. Yeah. But I do think that there is really incredible filmmaking and films happening right now because I see them. Like, so a little bit of a shout out. London Film Festival just happened and a short that I worked on was premiered there. And I took my mum and my sister. It was very cute. And the other films that were in that category, we got to watch all of them at this premiere. And they were fucking great. They were so good.
I wasn't asking if you think good. I think there's...
No, but that's...
But, like, could you get The Matrix made?
No, but this is what I'm saying. I do think films of that caliber and with those kind of ideas and that style of story making, they are being made, but they're not getting sign-off from the bigger studios.
And
so they're having
they
to be
get
much
the money?
Smaller.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Not right now. No. I hope in the future, for sure. But there's really, really great films out there right now that are being made. And it's just a shame that they don't have the platforms to reach the wider audiences that the big Hollywood blockbusters do. Because people don't see them. And people who were like, you know, oh God, there's just like trash at the cinema and there's just crap on TV. And like, that's true. And I get that because I've had that feeling as well. And that's like a wider conversation about streaming. And that everyone is saturated with content from streaming that a lot of the time isn't very good. But like, it is out there and there are filmmakers out there who are really deeply talented and just don't have the access or the means to make
And then I
things.
think I think actually now there are only a set few filmmakers that could probably, like, say The Matrix wasn't made in 1999, the only filmmakers that could really make a film, an action film of that sort of high budget studio with high concept kind of behind it, it's very few that would get the money to do that, and I think it is your Chris Nolans would be allowed to, Denis Villeneuve, who did Dune and etc., would probably be allowed to.
Maybe Jordan Peele
Potentially, yeah. But it's a small pool of filmmakers that could probably go and do something like this in the context of a studio system and not like an indie filmmaker or a low budget production.
But it's shifting. Just even the appreciation and the recognition in film is shifting all the time. Like, The Matrix won 4 Oscars. It won in every like category that it was listed, but it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. When have we seen a film like The Matrix in the last like 10 years more? When have we seen a film like that nominated at the bigger award ceremonies? Not that awards mean anything.
I know I keep going back to Inception, but I think probably
you were going to say Tenet again.
No, but I think Inception is probably the last, because that was up for Best Picture. It lost to The King's Speech, but that is probably that kind of film to break into that category of, and could that kind of film broken into that category if you hadn't had something like The Matrix coming before it, and it sort of giving people the idea that you can have sort of a high concept blockbuster, something that has real depth to it while also being an action film and
Inception was so good. Inception is one of my favourite films, for sure.
I think The Matrix, I think because of the sequels that came after, I think it's easy to forget like how culturally important and how significant that film is, that first Matrix film is.
So good. It was so good. Also, the SFX, it was 1997, 98 when they were filming this. They were so good. They were so good. The like little robot shrimpy.
Yeah, the robot. That gives me the heebie-jeebies every time I watch it. It's something about it going into his belly button as well. I don't know what it is. Like, if they had put it like down his throat, it wouldn't have been as creepy.
Yeah,
I know they couldn't because his mouth is all sewn shut or whatever.
Which also looked very good.
But like if it had gone in his ear or it had gone in his like mouth, I think it would have not.
No, it would have been bad.
But it's something about the belly button. It's like,
as a child, that led me to believe falsehoods in anatomy, where I believed that your belly button just
had a hole,
went on and on, and was like an entrance. And I remember, this is probably a bit weird, I remember it was like my belly button was like rubbed raw because I was like, where's the end? Because I have an innie. And I remember my mum being like, there isn't, like, what are you talking about? Because I got worried that things were gonna, like, I used to swim a lot. I thought things were gonna like get in there. That film really fucked me up, actually. But yeah, they were really, really good for the times.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, there's like the iconic like bullet dodging scene.
Yeah.
And, like, 1999. There are films that are done today that don't look that good. I bring us back to Halle Berry's Catwoman. Am I wrong? That film was basically just animation.
That was rough.
It was so bad. But, like, that's what I mean. It's another reason why I feel like this film stands up so well is because every department was just so on it and it was just so beautifully done. And the stunt coordinator, trainer, what's his name? Wing Ping Yun, developed a fighting style for all of the actors. And as we said, they were training for like 5 months, but he like they all had their own kind of thing, and it was tailored to each of them. And like Carrie-Anne Moss, like all of her fighting style was based around how like light and like kind of small she was. So she has a lot of wire work, a lot of sort of flying through the air stuff and spinning and
running across the wall.
Yeah, and like Neo, as we said, is all about like kind of upper body arm stuff, and Morpheus was more like in the base, strong base, a lot of leg stuff, a lot of kicking, a lot of it was just so good. Everything was just so perfectly thought out. I think the like a grading tint that when you're in the Matrix world it's green,
all green, and then
the real world is blue, and then like the fight with Neo and Smith, which is like between the two worlds, is yellow. It's chef's kiss. Really good. Weird though, I think that they chose blue for the real world, because
it's not a
so
colour.
artificial. Yeah. It's not like a naturally occurring colour in nature, really.
Yeah. But it does actually work really well.
It adds this kind of, like, you know, when you're in the studio all day and then you step out and you're a bit like, and it is like a blue-white kind of as your eyes refocus into it. That's exactly what it's like watching that film.
Also, some of the scenes in the Nebuchadnezzar, the ship that they fly around in, there's some scenes where they're like eating like their like gruel and stuff. Actually, and the sort of camaraderie that the crew have reminded me a lot of Alien, the first Alien film, and the sort of the way in the first Alien film, you have a lot of scenes where they're just sitting around eating or arguing with each other or playing cards or whatever before the sort of inevitable horror of that film happens. And it's similar in The Matrix, where, you know, Neo's brought into this thing and he's kind of bonding with all these different characters.
And he has like a little moment with
each, with each sort of one, and then they all start to get killed in some way.
Here you go, buddy. Breakfast of champions.
If you close your eyes, it almost feels like you're eating runny eggs.
You know, a bowl of snot.
Do you know what it really reminds me of? Tasty wheat. Did you ever eat tasty wheat?
No, but technically neither did you.
Well, that's exactly my point. Exactly. Because you have to wonder now. How do the machines really know what tasty wheat tasted like, huh? Maybe they got it wrong. Maybe what I think tasty wheat tasted like actually tasted like oatmeal or tuna fish. That makes you wonder about a lot of things. You take chicken, for example. Maybe they couldn't figure out what to make chicken taste like, which is why chicken tastes like everything.
Any concluding thoughts about The Matrix before we give it a ranking?
I just love Keanu Reeves. He's a man of the people.
We've talked about Keanu Reeves an awful lot on this podcast, considering that we haven't actually done a Keanu Reeves film yet.
Have we not?
No, this is the first one. Unless you count the remake of Point Break.
Oh, I can't believe that.
We've spoken about him a lot. We just haven't had him in a film.
Okay, yeah. He's, great.
Yeah.
All of the people that we spoke about for alternate casting, there's just no competition. He was so perfect as Neo because he's so relatable and real, and like at the start, like everyone has had that conversation with their boss at some point. I mean, maybe not like A-type personalities, but like the horror that he like expresses as he's going through kind of waking up is, I think, very honest. And
I think him in the office scene where he's running from the agents, and then like Morpheus is like, well, you can climb down the scaffolding or you can let them take you. It's kind of up to you.
Yeah, both at risk.
And he's like, he gets outside, drops the phone, and he's like, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
And he's totally believable and totally relatable.
Thomas A. Anderson.
Okay, Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
This was a great time for Hugo Weaving as well. Like, he was really booking.
Hugo Weaving, we got the pleasure. Do you watch Slow Horses at all?
I have. Not all of it.
Hugo Weaving is the villain of the latest series of Slow Horses, and he is. I won't tell you anything about it to give away what the story is or what his character is, but he is so great as the villain again, and you get some of that Hugo Weaving. There's a slight bit of Agent Smith in him, that kind of like, you know, because his character in Slow Horses is like a bit like Agent Smith. It's like, this guy's always in control.
So this is what I was literally about to say. He is just power on screen, and it's not evil, it's not good. It's the same when he's Elrond, when he's Smith, when he's like, he's in the driving seat.
Yeah.
And you just know when you see him on.
And he doesn't have to do anything. He can just stand there,
like Carrie-Anne Moss,
or sit and look at you across the table. The bit where they're interrogating Neo, and the way he just comes in, he puts the file down, he slowly unbinds the file, opens it, and just sort of looks through. And Keanu's sitting there kind of edgy and nervous about what's happening, and there's a stillness to his performance that I think, again, like we're saying, I couldn't see anyone else as...
This had to, for sure, inform Peter Jackson greenlighting him as Elrond, because it's that same... if you've read the books of Lord of the Rings, not to go too far away from the Matrix, but like,
I feel like we've gone all over the place today.
I know. The Council of Elrond is like, it's very, very long, and it's very dialogue heavy, and it's in the books, it's days. It's very long, and so I can understand why trying to make a film of it, you'd be like, Jesus, who are we going to cast that's going to like have that slowness but still like so captivating and in charge and powerful, and people aren't going to stray, and he does that effortlessly in like every role that he does. Very, very talented storyteller. How old was Keanu when he did this? He must have been like early 30s.
Let's have a look, because this is post Point Break.
Yeah. Point Break, though, he was super young. I think he was like 20.
He was 34 years old when he played Neo. So, 60 now. He looks good for 60, doesn't he? What a guy.
Do you remember at the 35mm screening of Point Break?
No, Elsa, because I don't know how many times...
I told you about it, though. This is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, you told me about it, but I don't remember it because I wasn't there.
But you remember the story that he FaceTimed. I told you this.
Yeah,
he FaceTimed it, and he still looks amazing.
Yeah, he does. He's amazing.
I mean, like, he's all, scraggly. But, like, he has the little light in his eyes.
Yeah.
I think he will be that way for forever.
And also, I would be remiss, and my dad would never forgive me if I didn't mention at least once on this podcast that, Chad Stahelski worked on the stunt team for The Matrix and then ended up creating the John Wick franchise. And
why would your dad...
Because he loves John Wick. John Wick is like his favourite thing of all time.
Right. So is it just that you wanted to say John Wick?
So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you have the connection between The Matrix and John Wick, in that you have the original stunt guy, you have directing it, you have Keanu Reeves, obviously, you have Laurence Fishburne playing a sort of Morpheus-esque character, and you have the moment you have the line from The Matrix. There's a moment in, I think it's in John Wick 2, where someone asks John Wick what he needs, and he says, guns. Lots of guns. And it's like, it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
God, even that green screen stuff was excellent.
Yeah. It really holds up, to be fair. When you watch it back, it really holds up. So, Elsa. Out of 5 uncles that fancy Carrie-Anne Moss.
Keep my uncle's name out of your mouth. I'm going to rank it out of 5 white rabbits, because that's where it started. Okay. But I have to ask before we rate it, blue pill or red pill?
I like to think that I would...
I think we both know.
What I would do?
Yeah.
I like to think that I would totally... Hang on, I always get confused as well. Which one do you take to...
Red is down the rabbit hole.
Right. I like to think I would take the red pill.
Mm.
But I think really, we all know...
You're a blue pill.
I'd be like, cool, yeah, cheers. Cheers, thanks, Laurence. See you later.
I'm really glad I met you.
Yeah. This was great.
I don't remember any of this.
This is great, but it was, to be honest, it's been all a bit traumatic. I had a thing inside my belly button. I'd just rather not.
Thank you for taking out my parasite.
I'm going to be going now.
Yeah. So this was great. I'm red pill, 100%. But I know I would be really unhappy with it, and I would lead a very depressed life.
You'd be like, you'd take the red pill, you'd wake up on the Nebuchadnezzar, and you'd be like, you'd be Cypher. Can I go back? Can I go back?
I wouldn't betray anyone.
No.
I would probably. I don't know.
You'd be going up to Laurence Fishburne. Is there no way?
Are you sure?
Are you sure that?
No, do you know?
A yellow pill.
I would. Orange? I would definitely choose the red pill. I know myself well enough, but I do think that once I got there, I think I would either muck in and I would do what needed to be done, but I'd be very depressed about it, or I think I might go mad because I'd be like, well, okay, when's the next guy going to offer me another pill? Like this is just the next reality. Like, let me...
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, how do we know?
Well, that's Descartes. That is where Descartes comes in. It's like, you can't trust any versions of your reality.
It does upset me somewhat that you think I would be a blue pill.
You are a blue pill boy, and you knew it. You are Bombay Sapphire, baby.
I'd really think about it, though. I would be sat there. Like, it wouldn't be, like, immediate. I wouldn't be like, yeah, blue pill, cool.
But you know what? There's no shame in that, because if you take the blue pill, you go back to your girlfriend, your mum, your dog, your dad, your world, and that what an incredibly lonely and traumatizing thing to choose the opposite for a life spent underground fighting robots. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I would be tempted to take the blue pill, and I kind of wish that I would. I just know that I would take the red pill.
See, I wish I would take the red pill because I want to be badass, but I'd be like, yeah, no thanks. This is nice.
You can't say to me, I can't believe you think I take the blue pill. When you said yourself you would take the blue pill.
Yeah, but it's just, it's more that, like, I can know it, like, deep down. But it's more that you're just, like, instantly like, nah, you're blue pill.
Yeah.
They're like, what does that say about me, you know? I don't know. Not brave enough.
No, just that you enjoy your life. You don't want to live in discomfort.
I think I would immediately get there and see that breakfast and be like, oh, fucking, what have I done? What have I done?
The food would get to me for sure. This is what I'm saying. I wouldn't like it.
No.
But if I knew that none of this was real, I couldn't carry on in it.
Yeah, but you don't. If you have the blue pill, you forget.
At that point, he knows.
Yeah, he does know.
So it's choosing ignorance over, reality.
Yeah.
But... Yeah.
Wow.
So,
although I would like that thing where you can basically learn anything like that.
Jiu-jitsu.
Like, yeah, just teach me how to fly a helicopter or whatever. And you go,
that would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
read something about how is it the FBI or CIA are, like, experimenting on sort of like how they can accelerate neural pathways for their agents to be able to learn languages quicker?
Just learn it, man.
Off the back of like, can you do the
Duolingo is not good enough for the
No,
military.
it's not.
All right. Rosetta Stone, too slow. That's what a waste of our money.
It's not our money. It's fine.
Well, the Americans' money, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like some Americans. Wasted their money. I mean, like, look, if that science comes into being, it can be used for a lot of stuff, and that's super interesting. But I also, it just works so lazy. This is the hyper real.
Yeah.
The desert of the.
Yeah.
That's what it is we're constantly like more and more and more and replacing things with, you know, like how you have a tablet now instead of a book, and that becomes the new reel and the new version.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah. Right. How many white rabbits are you giving Matrix?
5. I don't even have to think about it. It's one of the best films ever made, and I love this film. I will watch it more, and just...
Do I go controversial and not give it 5? No, I'm going to give it 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah, 5.
Yeah, that's good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
As you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time now, Mr. Anderson. It seems that you've been living 2 lives. In one life, you're Thomas A. Anderson, program writer for a respectable software company. You have a social security number, you pay your taxes, and you help your landlady carry out her garbage. The other life is lived in computers, where you go by the hacker alias Neo and are guilty of virtually every computer crime we have a law for. One of these lives has a future, and one of them does not.
So that was The Matrix, 1999's The Matrix, starring Keanue Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, and many, many more. Now it's the time where we dive into the credits of that film and we pick our next film that we will be watching and talking about next week. Elsa, who have you got for us today?
Okay, so we have The Head Grip, Ian Bird.
Ian Bird. That is a grip's name if ever I heard one.
Ian Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Ian Bird.
Shift that.
He's a solid guy.
Yeah.
He's a good grip.
Yeah.
Ian Bird. The Carpenter. A Carpenter, I should say. There are a few. Josh Bush.
Josh Bush.
And the Foley supervisor, because I don't feel like we've done a lot of Foley crew yet.
Yeah.
Tom Brennan.
Oh. I mean, I feel like I should go with the Foley supervisor because, like you said, we haven't really done much in the way of Foley. But because... I'm starting to feel like you want me to pick the Foley artist, Elsa.
No! You can pick whatever you want. But I'm nervous about the options that I've chose, I'll say that. All of them, though, so none of them are a good choice.
I'm going to go with...
I don't think you've seen anything.
I'm going to go with Josh Bush. On the name alone. Ian Bird. Ian Bird. We'll go Ian Bird.
Go with your first answer. We've got to go with Josh Bush. Honour the system. So we're bringing it back to 2024 next week, and we will be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. That was like the only one that I was like,
it might be good. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. I like her.
Do you know what?
Chris Hemsworth. I like her.
I didn't want to go and see it. I feel like for obvious reasons, but everyone that I know that did see it has been like, it was actually sick. Yeah, it was really good.
I still haven't also seen the Mad Max with Tom Hardy. Yeah, but
that one, I have seen that, and I kind of feel like you're supposed to have seen that to get that one.
Yeah, I'm not watching both. So there you have it. Join us next time when we will be watching Furiosa. What is it, Furiosa? A Mad Max saga. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends. Like, subscribe, leave us a review, leave us a comment, rating, whatever. And we shall see you next time. Goodbye.